Time now for 1 full hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, your hosts, Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert.
You're listening to The Straight Line on drag racing at MRN.com. Thanks for being here for our 1 hour of horsepower. Appreciate you joining us. Lots of news to get to and winners at Bandimere. Jack Beckman racks up win number 4 of the season. Larry Morgan takes down the King of the Mountain. And Steve Torrence breaks a long winless streak. We're in the beams and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, this is The Straight Line on MRN.com, along with 4-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert. I'm Marty Huff. And welcome back to the Grand Marshal of the Mopar Mile High Nationals. Man, it looks like you had a blast.
We did. Had a super time out there. Mimi and I went out there on Thursday for that Mopar block party, which I was impressed with. They closed down the whole city of Golden to have a party. I mean, it was awesome. A whole bunch of the drivers came out there. Don Schumacher was out there. They had a band and a huge stage and all these brand new Dodge and Chrysler hot rod cars. Yeah. Food. It was incredible. It was really, really fun.
Did they have the new Superbird out there? Do you remember with the big wing on it?
No, I didn't see one.
Okay.
No, they had that. They had a couple of those Hellcat supercharged Challengers, Chargers, the drag pack cars.
Yes.
Supercharged drag pack car. I mean, they had a bunch of really, really cool new cars. I mean, you can go to a Dodge dealer and buy one of these cars. They run 8 seconds in the quarter mile. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Speaking of which, and I guess on that subject, a little bit earlier in the week, last week, you had I guess a bit of a semi-rant on Facebook. And talking about if you believe it or not on the Pro Stock class, and and just saying, hey, I think it's probably time for some changes in the Pro Stock class. And then Saturday, all of a sudden, here comes NHRA.
Well, believe it or not, I had no inside information on that.
Right.
No, I seriously didn't. But Pro Stock. And I like Pro Stock. Those guys work incredibly hard on those cars. There's a lot of technology in the car, but how much of it is relevant? They're running a 500 cubic inch big block, carbureted.
Yeah.
I mean,
with a huge
I
hood
love
scoop
them,
in it.
but I mean, I still have a pair of blue suede shoes. So I mean, it's kind of like I think that Pro Stock could be a lot more relevant to today's manufacturers and increase involvement by the manufacturers, and also probably get fans and our young drag racing fans more excited about the cars. By, I don't know by what. I don't have all the answers for how, but then NHRA announced flat hoods, fuel injection. I mean, they're making some steps. And one of the things I did in Denver was I had a long conversation with Peter Clifford. Really neat. He's the new president of the NHRA.
Absolutely.
And I was excited about everything that's going on especially after talking to him. He's going to make changes. And he said, hey, I'm probably going to end up doing some stuff that might not be right, but guess what? We'll make another change. And to me, doing the same thing, what's that? The definition of insanity? The definition of insanity, doing the same things, expecting different results. And nothing against Tom, because Tom Compton was my friend, really my friend. But I think Peter's coming into this with the really an attitude of, hey, I'm going to make some changes. We're going to bring NHRA to right now. And, I think Tom was more trying to, let's keep this thing going, and keep
status quo,
stay with our history and focus on that, which, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited about the things that Peter's doing, because I think there's more things coming.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's pretty exciting. I mean, then the other thing I ranted on about Pro Stock, right? I said, well, we need funny cars to look more like cars. What an idea, they need to look like a car. I mean, they all look the same. And then we need Top Fuel cars to look like, and I love Top Fuel cars, obviously, but they're like cut out of the same mold. It's Pro Stock, Top Fuel, funny car. They all look, all the cars in the classes look basically the same, except for the canopy cars.
Yeah.
They all look the same, which I like that. I mean, let's let's let them cover up the engines. Let's them do some streamline, do some aerodynamics. But they've limited all that because of cost. But all they've done then is like, every other form of motorsport that's not totally spec. Everybody's spending the money on something else anyway. So why not turn them loose a little bit and make them look cool?
True.
I think.
On Saturday, the NHRA came out and they're going to make some changes right away, starting at Sonoma this week. And then there's going to be other bigger changes that will start January 1st, 2016, in what the teams can and can't do. Initially, for this week, race cars in the pits, teams will be required to leave the engines uncovered so that spectators have accessibility to the race cars and interact with the drivers and crew members. A new rule will also discontinue the practice of crew members standing beside the cars when they're doing the burnouts, and NHRA will make mandatory for teams to create an automobile manufacturer's identification header visible in the windshields, 4.5 to 4.25 inches all the way across the windshield. Those are just minor things, I guess, but trying to enhance the fans' accessibility and the fan.
They want them to be recognized. They want them to be recognized, whether the manufacturer, the driver, right? Every NASCAR car, they've got Harvick or whatever on the windshield. That's cool, and fans, I think, relate to that, which will be, there's nothing wrong with that. And if it doesn't work, what he told me is he'll make more changes. We'll change something else.
That's exactly right.
Which I think that's great.
They're going to require the teams, the pro stock teams, to back in, so the motors are out front.
Engines are facing the spectators
and uncovered, which is
I'm
the first
sure there's
time.
some bellyache and gnashing of teeth over that. But you know what? All the competitors, they know. They better do a better job hiding whatever they have inside and not making it.
And a lot of the guys that I've heard comments from say, you know what, the magic's inside. There may be something trick that we're doing with front ends or with aero or something like that, but for the most part, everything that's trick is underneath the hood or underneath the valve covers, and you're not going to be able to see that anyway. But it also enhances the fan experience for them to be able to see those motors out there, see what they're doing, see what they're working on, because that's a part of drag racing. These guys, a lot of these people out in the pits.
Well, you go to the Top Fuel and Funny Car pits, you see the guys working on the car. You go to a Pro Stock pit, and it's like some kind of a secret thing. Like, okay, really?
Yeah.
That's a good move.
I mean, that started years ago with Bob Glidden, who did not want anybody to see what he was doing. And
I'll never forget that time when he crashed at Atlanta 20-something years ago, and he got out, he was all shook up, he took his jacket off and covered his engine up.
Right? Yeah. That was the first thing he did. He didn't care if his the car was destroyed or he was hurt or whatever. He took his jacket off and threw it on the motor so people wouldn't see it. That will not be the case anymore as a part of the new rules being instituted by the NHRA. We will talk to Larry Morgan about that. Now, remember, we had Larry on last year just to kind of talk about the state of pro stock and what he kind of thought as being maybe one of the senior members, not maybe, as being one of the senior members of the pro stock class. We will get his take on. And
Larry will be candid about
no question.
what he thinks. So that's good. I'm glad we got Larry on. And super job winning that race over there.
How about that?
I mean, taking Alan Johnson off the
wow.
Beating him on a whole shot in the final, having a little bit of a burn down. And I think for pro stock, that's cool. I mean,
heck yeah.
That's fun. They created some little bit of excitement at the starting line, and that was good deal for them.
And that's 90 seconds of just drama and people just, staring and cheering and going crazy over two pro stock cars. And they could use all the help that they can get. So that was very well timed.
I didn't want to say that. Glad you said that.
And that's the deal.
One of the other big announcements we made is Mopar is supporting brakes. We're going to have brakes classes. We're going to add 6 or 7 additional brake classes, some next year. But this year, we're adding Detroit, we're at in Denver, Colorado, the home of the Bannerman, the Mile Highs, where we were last weekend. Already have a bunch of signups for that. And tentatively, Englishtown, New Jersey. So,
wow.
Yeah, 3 new locations supported by Mopar and their Road Ready program. Brakes is doing all the training and stuff. So that'll be really, really neat. Looking forward to that. And super big thanks to all the folks at the NHRA and Mopar for making that happen.
Yeah. As a part of you being there and being the Grand Marshal and having you as kind of the face of Mopar for a week, that's kind of a nice reward, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Mopar, Jack Beckman, we've got him coming up, and he drove that Mopar Infinite Hero car to the Winter Circle. Super neat. I had some time to talk to Jack over there, and he's my buddy, and really glad to see him put that car in the Winter Circle again. They are hot.
Yeah, they really are. We'll also talk to Steve Torrence, breaking a long winless drought, over 2 years since we've seen Steve Torrence walk away with a Wally. We will also talk to him a little bit later on in the program. But after the break, we will talk to the driver of the Infinite Hero Mopar Dodge. Jack Beckman joins us next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
Save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $22.99. Or upgrade to Pennzoil high mileage and a MicroGuard filter for $24.99. Plus, earn double O-Reward points on this purchase at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being here on MRN.com. And right now joining us on the telephone line is the driver of the Infinite Hero Dodge Charger for Don Schumacher Racing and winner of the funny car category at Bannerman this weekend. Jack Beckman joins us. Jack, congratulations. New territory, 4 wins for you on the season.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to talk now because I'm kind of still in shock about this whole thing. It's just unbelievable. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, right.
You know, Jack, we were over there talking, and I got to tell you, you do an incredible job with those fans. We were there. You were working them. Your dad was out there helping you at the ropes, and what a neat deal. I loved sitting there and getting a chance. Mimi and I had a good long talk with your dad. And what a neat guy. I see where you get your good guy stuff from.
Yeah, and my big, long, ugly toes, too. Yeah. No, it's neat having my dad there. He's 78 years old, and my mom passed away when she was 50. And I remember not 2 months after she died, and my parents had been divorced for 15 years when she passed away. But, I realized right away a chapter of my life had closed that you could never go back to, losing a parent. And I remember just sitting down and writing my dad a long note just to let him know that, I appreciated all the stuff when I was growing up. I think I was probably a little poophead quite a bit when I was a teenager, and I left when I was 17 to join the Air Force. And I just wanted to let him know that I knew all the things that he had done and sacrificed. And fortunately I had a chance to tell my mom that before she passed away too. So having him come out to the races, I mean, it's more than icing on the cake. These are the experiences. He lives in Texas. I live in California. We don't get to see each other maybe once a year, maybe if it's not at a drag strip. So those 6 or 7 races he comes to are extra special, and to be able to win is it's hard to put into words.
4 wins this year. I mean, that you guys, Proc, you guys are just gelling, and that thing is well, I just don't even know what to say. I am so happy to see that car run so well and that team gel so well.
And let's remember that this year started off Not so good. You guys DNQ'd at Pomona, and it didn't look really good, and now all of a sudden here you are sitting on 4 wins.
Yeah, I'm not so sure looking back that wasn't strategic on Proc's part to, maybe lull everybody into a false sense of security.
Sandbagging.
Now, here's something that I want to clarify something. Jimmy Proc started 2 races from the end of last year. He was on the car in Vegas and at the finals, and we didn't win a round at either one of those. But he was working with all Don Schumacher tune-up parts at that time. And then in the offseason, he brought some of his combo and built what basically is a hybrid. And so in my first 3 races with Jimmy Proc, we had a DNQ and 2 first-round losses, and I thought, man, am I that good a driver that I can make Jimmy Proc look bad? but leaving Pomona 18th out of 18 funny cars after the Winter Nationals, I was okay with that. I don't like not qualifying, but I knew the big picture. I knew we were going to be a strong team. I knew it was going to take more runs, and the proof is in the pudding. Once Jimmy got enough runs to the finish line, and Chris Cunningham sits side by side with him up there, and John Medlin has got the third computer, and the 3 of those guys are just absolutely perfect together.
Well, and having 3 guys, I know all 3 of them. They're all 3 pretty sharp. Having any one of them could do a good job, and then having all 3 of them and having them work together like they do, wow.
Yeah, it's an unusual combination. We're the only Schumacher car and the only car that I'm aware of out there right now that has 3 crew chiefs. And I think, and I hope I'm not talking out of school, I think that the idea was that Chris Cunningham is just too valuable to not be utilizing on the road, but that eventually he was going to crew chief another car under our umbrella, and that just never worked out. So this was kind of an interim deal. Well, with the success that we're having, I can't see any reason why you would want to continue on doing anything other than what we're doing.
Tell us, like last year, you were 0-6 with Force, with Force Racing, and then to go up there, at Mopar Race, which was obviously a big deal. You're part of the block party and all the different stuff that Mopar had going on, and to go up there and pull that off with your dad there and all these different things. You've won 19 races, but that had to be pretty close to the top of the list, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. And Doug, you'll really appreciate this. I think what makes this win special, and it makes Topeka extra special, maybe the most special in all the races that I've won, is a lot of times when you're riding the fastest horse and everything goes well, as a driver, all you really did was not make a mistake. And I know that I'm oversimplifying things, but the reality is what the crew and the crew chief did won you the race. Well, first round, our car went out there and smoked the tires, and I had to backpedal the thing. Otherwise, we'd be on the trailer. So it feels nice to know that sometimes as a driver you can contribute to the overall success of a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, hey, tell us also, Jack, again, about the Infinite Hero and the coin program that you do. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, Infinite Hero doesn't put a dime in our car. Terry Chandler picks up every penny, gives the car as a marketing platform to Infinite Hero. Oakley started the program because they figured they could do a better way of helping soldiers out. There's a lot of nonprofits out there to help out the returning wounded. And they thought, let's do this in a way that keeps the overhead low and the funding high that goes to the cure here, either for post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, physical injuries, rehabilitations, counseling for the family members, things like that. So my part of it is we decided I'm going to take 15 of these military-style challenge coins that are printed with the Infinite Hero logo in the race car every time I go down the drag strip. Anybody that donates $100 or more to Infinite Hero, I will personally sign it, date it, and if we haul butt, I'll write down what the car ran on it and hand you the coin there at the track. And if you can't come to the track, we do 5 from each race that I set aside that have been down the racetrack. You can go on Don Schumacher Racing's eBay store and make the donation and get them there. Or you can go on infinitehero.org, make the donation. They'll send me your name, give me the race that you want it from. All these coins went down the drag strip. And it's gratifying to know that, you want to do great things when the helmet's on. But when the helmet's off, I think we're doing some even cooler things because we're helping people. We're making a difference. And we're letting the NHRA fans be a part of this. And last year we did $70,000 just in the coins.
Wow.
$150,000 of the race team total. This year, we're almost at that number on the coins. We're going to far surpass what we did last year. And this year we set a goal of $250,000 with the race team to help the soldiers, and I think we're going to make it.
Wow, that is awesome. I'm going to quote Don Schumacher here, so there's no mistaking what or what he said. Quote, Don Schumacher, a gratifying win. It was tremendous for Jack to go out there and win this race for Mopar, for DSR, and to take that force car out in the final with John driving it. Thoughts?
I'm going to quote Jack Beckman. Hell yeah! you know, listen, it's the same size trophy whether everybody red lights against you or you beat everybody on a hole shot. But beating John Force in a final round is the coolest thing that can happen to a funny car driver, if you ask me. He's the greatest of all time. He's still at the top of his game. To be able to go out there and beat them after they qualified number one, after they set low ET a race day, and after they went into the finals with Lane Choice as a heavy favorite is just fantastic.
Yeah, no kidding. That and you know, Jack, the win. You probably already know this, but that puts you on the 10th all-time winningest list for funny car drivers, and up to number 2 in point. But that 10th on all-time list and is pretty cool because you're not done yet, dude.
No, I'm just pinching myself. But listen, you got to qualify that. You look at some of those names that are underneath me now, and they're just all-timers. And the era is different, Doug. We get 24 shots a year to do this. Back in 1970, there were 7 attempts to do it. Back in 69, there was 4 attempts to do it. So really, it's an apples and oranges comparison. And I look at some of those people, and I'll never be half of what they are. In fact, I talked to Ed McCulloch on the phone yesterday, and there's a great example. That guy was an owner at one time, a tuner, an amazing driver. He just didn't have as many opportunities to do it as us current drivers do. I'll never be an Ed McCulloch. I'm flattered to be considered on the same page as him.
Well, you know what? I think you're pretty humble, and I'm proud to be your friend. I text you that the other day, but I really am.
You know, the only thing that would have made the winner's circle better, Doug, I was looking around for you. I wanted a picture of me and my buddy standing together.
Oh, man. I am pissed.
Well, let's do it again later this year then, okay?
Let's do it. Yep.
Okay.
I'll be at Charlotte for sure, so that'll
Marty,
be a good
you're
one
invited.
to win.
All right, I'll be there. Hey, I understand that you're not a golfer, but you ended up having a little round of golf. Can you tell us about that?
No, absolutely not. No comment. Oh, my God. It was horrible. No, I think that's the 4th time I've done one for charity, and I hadn't done it for 5 years because no means no when they asked me if I want to play golf.
Right.
And but it was for Infinite Hero, and here was the neat thing. We filmed a documentary, if you want to call it that, for Infinite Hero during the weekend at Denver. It's going to air at the gala that we do Veterans Day at Oakley headquarters the Wednesday before the World Finals, and that's going to be the big ball that raises a ton of money to help out the veterans. Well, I didn't know we were going to win the race, so we wind up winning the race. We take the car out to the golf course Monday morning to display it there with the trophy. Medal of Honor recipient Sal Guenta was out there, and Goose Gossage, Yankees pitcher, was out there. I mean, it was just so neat to be standing near the car on a golf course that just went 313 miles an hour a couple of days before and won the trophy the day before that, and just be a small part of raising a lot more money to help out the people that really helped us out.
Yeah, that was cool. I saw those pictures on Twitter and Facebook. Awesome. Number 2 in points going into these back-to-back Western swing races. You got to be feeling pretty good about your momentum going into the Western swing, and also, Countdown and Indy coming up, and it seems like Proc and your guys are really on the right track.
Yeah, I think all you have to do sometimes in life is take a snapshot and get some perspective. And the snapshot of last year, I wasn't in the top 10. I didn't qualify for the Traxxas shootout. I hadn't won a race. Now we know no matter what happens, we're solidly locked in for the Countdown. We get to race for the Traxxas shootout. I've won more races than I've ever won in a single season. And like you said, I don't think we're done yet. It's humbling, and it's incredibly exciting to know I'm loading up the family with the motorhome, and in about 3 hours we're going to start driving up to Sonoma, and I'm going to try my damnedest to get another trophy.
You might as well just sweep the Western
Sure.
Swing. You already got the first one out of the way.
Absolutely.
You know what? Fine. Let's let the other funny car teams know. I'm good with that.
You're the only one that can, Jack.
I've done the math, and that's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Jack, great to have you with us. Congratulations on your win. Good luck on the rest of the Western Swing. Jack Beckman, driver of the Don Schumacher Race and Infinite Hero. Mopar Funny Car.
Can't wait to talk again soon.
That's Jack Beckman. Thanks a lot for joining us. And when we return, we will talk Pro Stocks with the King of the Mountain, at least for this year. Larry Morgan will join us next.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Chet Herbert designed and manufactured the first roller cam for racing in 1949. Today, NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert continues his father's legacy. Herbert Cam stocks cams for virtually all racing applications, from street ride to NASCAR and NHRA. Herbert Cams can also custom grind a cam for any application. Cams, lifters, valve springs, push rods, and all related performance valve train and engine parts in stock at the best prices. Visit HerbertCams.com or call our expert technicians at 800-444-7373 for all your racing needs. Herbert Cams.
Listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Join the Straight Line conversation on social media. Lots of ways of doing so. And, probably the biggest way is via Twitter, at MRN Radio, at Doug Herbert, and at Straight Line MRN. Or you can search and like us on Facebook, Motor Racing Network, the Doug Herbert fan page, and also Breaks with Doug Herbert. Joined now on the telephone line by the driver of the Fire Age Chevy Camaro and winner of the Pro Stock class at Bandimere this weekend, Larry Morgan joins us. Larry, congratulations. A huge win for you guys. Have you come off the mountain yet?
I'll tell you, it's still a pretty good high for us, but what an exciting time we had there. That was cool.
I'll tell you what, when I didn't know that I was going to get to see you last week when you popped into my shop the other day.
You know what, Doug? I've got to apologize to you about that. I owe you for some CO2. So
well, now that you won the race. No problem. That was cool. You came into my shop. My guys later goes, "Was that Larry Morgan that came in here?" I go, "Yeah, Larry. He's my buddy." So that was cool. You made me a hero by coming by and seeing me at the shop. Yeah, that was good.
Listen, you're a big guy. I was glad to come over. I knew you'd help me out.
We
were testing the car for Johnny over at ZMAX, and I needed some CO2 for the parachutes and the shocks, and I said, I know where to get it. I'll go to Doug Herbert's. He's got it. Well, I go to your place, and you got a big bottle. It's such a huge bottle, and Doug said, "Here, just take the whole bottle and sit in the car with it."
That would weight it down. That would have messed up your weight and balance probably on that Pro Stock.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, anyways, good to see you.
I thank you for that again.
Oh, buddy, you're welcome anytime. Hey, congratulations on the win over there. You go into the final round with the low ET, lane choice going in the final, and then tell us about the burn down and what was going on. I know the crowd was going nuts.
Oh, they were going nuts, and you know what? I didn't really plan on doing a burn down, but I was going to make sure that he staged first because he owns that hill, and I thought it may be the only way I can beat him up here. But I look up at the stands on each side of the track just standing, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I got on the radio and told my guys, I said, I guess he really doesn't want to stage. So finally he went in and I went in. It was a good race for all of us. We're just excited to be there.
Larry,
they think Pro Stock isn't exciting.
Yeah,
should have brought some excitement in it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And there's just a little bit of pressure when you get into that burn down mode, and you're waiting for him, he's waiting for you, but if you leave last, or if you have a horrible light, boy, you look like a fool up there. So there's got to be a lot of pressure up there once you get into that burn down mode to be the first guy out, and you were.
Well, Doug will tell you that you really don't think about that at that point. You figure out what you're going to do, but I don't think I think it's just whatever happens.
Yeah.
But it was something. It was cool. I'm glad I beat him. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that made that burn down a whole lot better. Yeah. And I mean, beating Alan Johnson up at Denver is no small feat, seeing how he's the guy that's been winning that race. Like it seems every year, they were just writing his name on the check.
Oh yeah, but we were under the tower, and I look up, and Craig Hankinson, one of Johnny's boys, found a rabbit in my lane, and I went over to Alan. I go, they just found a rabbit in my lane. I said, is that good luck or bad luck? Alan just looked at me. I said, I think I'm going to take that lane because I had lane choice, and that normally doesn't happen, But hey, it was awful good for us. What an exciting win for the Fire Aid and Lucas Oil and Streamlight Group. I mean, everybody is just so excited.
Well, you've won at Denver before, back in 1990, but your 12th win and second win this year. This has got to be one of your, I mean, you're no spring chicken here, but looks to me like you've got some races left to win, my friend.
I hope so. I hope I have a few. That's why I'm doing it. but I'm no spring chicken, I can tell you that. And to beat up on those younger guys is good. I like that part.
Yeah, you also went to Bandimere in testing the week before and kind of showed your hand a little bit because you and the Gray Boys went up there and it ran 200, which hadn't been done up on the mountain before, and were running some low ETs. So everybody kind of knew that you guys were, I mean, obviously Alan Johnson's the guy to beat, but you guys came in there with a little bit of swagger because you tested really well beforehand.
Well, we did. We did spend a couple days up there, and I'm telling you, when we started testing, nothing went wrong. It seemed like every move we made was in the right direction, and we felt going into the race we were going to run well. And I go out there the first run, and I stopped the tire and ran like crap. But the other boys run good, so I felt good about it. Now, all my guys were bummed out. They said, "You go up and test, and you run like crap, and those guys run good." I said, hey, we'll run good. Well, we ended up the next run. We went to number 2, and Alan beat us out of qualifying by 1,000. So it showed that we did have our act together up there.
Well, you certainly did. Tell us about the Fire Aid product, and I'm a little bit familiar with it, and we sell some at my shop. But also, I've seen the demos that they put on, and that stuff. That is neat product. Tell us a little bit about your sponsor, Fire Aid, Larry.
Well, Fire Aid, it's a fire extinguisher. It's a foam-based fire extinguisher, and to be honest with you, it's in most fire departments across the country. And I think he's in 20 different countries, but it's a wonderful product. And I was down to his place putting fires out. It's pretty cool how it works. But I saw this product at Home Depot. Not Home Depot, Lowe's. It's called Tundra, and it's like what Ron has. And I said to Ron, what is that stuff? He said, it's the same stuff. It's similar to what we use. And I said, does it work? And he goes, I think they all work. But so anyhow, he started we had this big fire, and he sprayed that Tundra on there, and it didn't hardly do anything. And he put Fire Aid over top of it, and I said, I got you now, buddy. I mean, it was incredible. His product is everybody should have one in their house. It's a little fire extinguisher. It'll put out almost any fire. And, NHRA uses it to track on all the fuel cars and in our cars too as well. We just don't catch on fire that much. But the thing is, you can wipe this stuff up. It's biodegradable. I mean, it's an incredible product.
Hang on, and you said Pro Stock cars don't catch on fire, but V Gaines the other week I saw him. He looked like an inferno.
Yes, he did. It was unreal, and he could have used some. But the good thing about it is, Doug, you can put the fires out and just wipe the parts down, and all the fuel guys want it now because they like to have their on-board fire system have that in it because they can wipe the parts down and blow it off and doesn't hurt anything. A regular extinguisher that we use really tears stuff up.
Yeah, it's really good product. Like I said, we sell it over at my shop, and then also that's what I have at home under my sink. So Mimi has a big fire going. Fire age. She'll put that sucker
right.
out if I'm not there.
That's right. And I got to tell you, Ron's a wonderful guy, and he's trying to develop a lot of things, and it's just, it just costs so much money to do business these days, and we're trying to help him get it out there. But what a fine product, and what nice people they are. I'm proud to have them on my car, and I thank them for that. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be out there.
Chatting with the driver of the Fire Age Chevy Camaro, Larry Morgan. Larry, on Saturday, NHRA came to you as a whole, as the Pro Stock class, and announced some changes, a lot of changes, some of them coming up here very soon this week at Sonoma. Some will take place next year, 2016, a whole bunch of them, but we'll just kind of get your thoughts about what is happening with the Pro Stock class here in the near future, and what's happening for next year.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that the deal we have to turn our cars around the pits and make it where the fans can see what we're working on, which I'm good with. I think that's great. I've been that way my whole career doing this stuff. Let people in and let them see, because as you guys know, Doug will tell you, when we were kids, we wanted to see what was going on. That's why Doug and I are so screwed up right now. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but you know what I'm saying, and that's the thing that's lacking in our class. I think that there's so many people who are so secretive on what they do, they just didn't want anybody to see. And I think that's wrong for the fans. So NHRA made it clear that we're going to back our cars up in the pits where the fans can watch us work on the car, which is good. And the fuel injection, that deal, I think it needed to be done 20 years ago. And I think they're starting at this race, we can't hold the cars in the water. So it's going to be kind of it'll be different here. You'll see guys do some wild burnouts, and I'm okay with all the rules, to be honest with you. I don't really care about. I'm not pumped up on the 10.5 rule on the RPM. It's a little bit too low. Saying that now, last year I wanted it, but now that I'm running good with Johnny Gray's power, I'm good with it. So, but I think that they've got these engines refined that you can run them that way and not really hurt a lot of stuff.
Larry, what other changes do you see coming along down the line for NHRA? Because it sounded like that they're not going to be stopping. They're going to keep making changes to try and get the fans more involved and more excited about the class too, which I think is probably good.
I think that they needed to do that. There's just so many things that, and as well as I do, Doug, in Top Fuel and Funny Car, the fans they're just crazy over our stuff, and we've got to keep that appeal to them, or we're going to lose out. And I worry about that.
Yeah, having those fans, I agree with you 100%. Having those fans over with your cars backed in the pits where they can look and see those engines, because that is, that like you say, that's been a secret thing ever since Glidden, right? Throwing his fire suit over there, but that's cool.
Glidden and Warren started covering their manifolds. I never done it very, very much, but I can tell you, I think that they need to look at what's going on. And if you want the younger kids in there, they need to see all that.
Yeah, and the also kind of comment, if you will, about the elimination of the hood scoops. That'll be for next year, and also the narrowing up of the wheelie bars. So you're going to see a little more of a launch from the cars as well.
Well, I don't know that that'll be a factor, because you can set your 4-link where you won't need wheelie bars, but I think the hood scoop will be more appealing, because I can tell you as a driver, you can see when you're in the left lane a whole lot better. So it'll be more clear for the driver. But I think it's all good. I think every one of the rules they made were good. I think they never mentioned the one that really made the most sense, and that would be give us more money. I don't know why they didn't mention that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, shoot.
Right, Doug?
That's exactly right. That's that part always comes along slow. Hopefully with the new TV, that'll increase the the availability and the easiness or whatever it's called to go get sponsors and show that. Hey, I've got a question. So they lower the hoods down and get rid of the scoop. What kind of manifold are you going to have to do? You have the old cross ram like the like
Well,
the 60s, or how
I'm
you
not
gonna do that?
sure. They're trying to figure out how they're going to do that and what they're going to do this week. We'll know in the next couple of weeks what they're going to have us work with. But I think it's going to have a cow induction hood like the old Z28s and the Mustangs used to have. They're going to draw from the cow, I believe. They just came in there and told us this is how it is, and there's no discussion. So I think everybody was kind of caught off guard there. And but there, now that we know that there's going to be a change, we got to deal with it, and I'm okay with that. I think that they need to go in there with a stern program, so I think it'll be good.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry Morgan, congratulations winning up there at Denver. It was good to see you up there, and good to see you in the winner's circle. Driver of the Fire Aid Chevy Camaro, good luck on the rest of the Western Swing, buddy.
Well, thank you very much. And, Doug, I owe you dinner because I'm sure you won't take anything for that little bit of CO2 I got.
Dinner sounds good.
To seeing you, and it did help, so thank you very much. Thank you guys for the show you put on.
That's Larry Morgan, winner at Bandimere this weekend and headed to Sonoma in the middle of the Western Swing. When we return, we'll talk Top Fuel and the winner this weekend up on the mountain. Steve Torrence will join us next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
Keep your windows clean and see clearer with Gunk Glass Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy 2 bottles of Gunk Glass Cleaner for $3. Gunk's high-performance ingredients clean glass and hard surfaces without leaving a film or residue. Gunk Glass Cleaner, 2 for $3 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
It's The Straight Line.
Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Well, it's been a while since we've seen this guy walk away with a Wally. He did so this weekend at the Mile High Mopar Nationals up in Denver, Colorado, just a little bit west of Denver. Driver of the Capco Construction Top Fuel dragster is Steve Torrence. Congratulations, man. Good to see you walk away with a Wally.
Man, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's been way too long since I've gotten to talk to you.
I'll tell you what, Steve, your guys ran good. You guys had low ET of that first round, and going up there in the final, you'd put the car down the track and made it happen. What do you attribute the win to, and what have you been doing over the last couple of years to get back to the winner's circle where you are now?
We've been struggling quite a bit all year, but we've been changing a lot of stuff, trying different things on the car because we haven't been that 73, 74 car. We've been the 75, 76 car, and that's what it takes right now to win in the countdown and at the first of the year because you got Coletta and Schumacher and all these other guys out there that are consistently running low 70s, and we just haven't been there. So we kind of wasted a little bit of time at the first of the year trying to figure that out, found ourselves in quite a predicament on the outside of the top 10. So the last 4 or 5 races, we've really struggled just to kind of get back to the ground level, to the basics, and get our car turned around so that we can make sure that we're in that top 10, make sure that we had a spot in that track to shoot out, and just get a handle on it again. So, it's been an up and down season. I hope we're starting our upstroke at the right time, and we'll be able to finish strong.
Well, exactly. You are starting at the right time, going on the Western Swing and then going into Indy with the countdown. And like I say, into the track's a shootout, into the top 10. It's got to be I don't know if relief is the right word, but just sense of accomplishment. I mean, you're going the right direction, and it's at the right time.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Relief is a big feeling too. It's you've been in one of these things. When the car's not doing well, you put added stress on yourself, and then I haven't been driving that great, and I kind of been not focused on the race team. We're busy at work with Capco and a lot of things going on there, and then everything around you suffers a little bit. So this was a get healthy weekend for not only myself but the team and Richard Hogan and everybody. It was a great morale and confidence booster, and you just got to get back sometimes to having a good time. But I mean, we're very blessed and fortunate to be able to race at this level in our sport, and you take that for granted sometimes when things aren't absolutely going your way, and that's what we did. We had a good time. Me and some of the guys went mountain biking while we were in Denver, and just took a different approach on the whole weekend, and the results showed for themselves.
Well, there's 5 drivers within 4 rounds in that knot between 6th and 10th right there, and you kind of, like you said, got well on points a little bit and got yourself off that bump spot. Is that obviously you want to get as high up in the points before you get to Indy as possible, but that point we're kind of hanging over your head and maybe not being able to make the countdown.
Yeah, and that would be a huge blow for us. I've never not made the countdown at any time with driving for Dexter Tuttle or with our own team. And last year we found ourselves on the outside of that track to shootout, and that was pretty devastating because we've been to the finals both of the years prior, and
that's right.
Felt like we had a really good car. So, we needed to refocus our attention on what we were doing, make sure that we were getting the car A to B, and we took a different approach. I mean, we wanted to go out there, and Saturday we kind of dropped the ball and didn't make as good a qualifying runs as we wanted to. We were pushing the envelope a little too hard, but we kind of collectively decided that we wanted to go out every lap, try to get bonus points in qualifying, and then just have the most consistent race car on race day and race ourselves instead of the guy beside us. And that's what we did in the final with Schumacher. We didn't beat ourselves. We took a look at what he had been doing the rounds before, and that car was running really, really hard in the middle to the end. And we took a more conservative approach and chose to just go A to B and not risk spinning the tires in the middle. And I think that's ultimately what cost Tony the win. Is he was about 700 foot. I could see his front end out there in front of us, and just able to drive around him. I think their car started spinning a little in the middle and never did recover all the way to the end.
1,000th at the finish line. I mean, talk about when you get in that situation and you can see the other guy in the other lane almost all the way down there, and what's going through your head, especially for a guy that's gone through a pretty good dry spell and really hungry for that win.
If you can see if you can see the other guy, he's ahead of you. And I thought to myself, please don't be doing this to me again. He started disappearing right there before the finish line, and I looked up and that light came on. I started celebrating immediately, and then remembered that I needed to drive that car because I wasn't at the end of the track yet. So we rounded the corner. Tony's a great competitor, and that Schumacher team is just a powerhouse. So anytime you can beat them, get a win against any of those cars, it's very, very gratifying. And then I won my first race against Tony, and he's encroached on my Texas territory, so I had to reestablish dominance.
Hey, Steve, you've been in, a lot in the same position that I was in for years as a single car team out there racing Top Fuel. What kind of challenges or disadvantages do you feel is with that currently?
Oh, it's a huge challenge, if not data-wise, just mentally. You got a lot of your guys on the team that are thinking, well, we're not getting as much data and we're not doing this and doing that. So you got to keep everybody motivated, but also just the numbers, just the facts and data that they're able to acquire as opposed to one car. They're getting 2 or 3 times the information every lap. And I haven't been in one of those situations to know how much of that is shared, but you also go back to parts acquisition, clutch disc acquisition, and everything. And when you're buying in 3 times the amount, usually you're able to get first choice of those things, and it's something that you have to battle against and struggle with. But it's we've shown that it's not something you can't overcome. So it adds a little bit to it, but it definitely makes it more of an accomplishment and more of an achievement when you go out there and have success. And it proves to everybody that, you can go out there and be the little guy or the one-car team or whatever and still make your place and mark your territory.
Chatting with the driver of the Capco Construction Top Fuel Dragster and winner this weekend, the Mile High Nationals, Steve Torrence. Did I see right in the release coming up for Sonoma that this is just your second appearance at Sonoma?
No. I've been there. I've been to Sonoma 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I've been there quite a bit. I raced there with Dexter Toto and the Total Motorsports team, and then we've raced there every year with my own team. So, we've been there quite a bit. This is the second year that we've made a vacation out of it. You guys had caught me coming out of the gym. We flew over here from Denver, my girlfriend, and then my mom and dad and I, and we usually spend the week and relax and, just do some wine tasting, go to San Francisco. We went and toured Alcatraz yesterday. But this trip's a lot better than last year's trip because we have something to celebrate for sure.
Right on. Hey, it won't be long. We'll be coming back to ZMAX Dragway. I want to make sure and invite you to our breaks gala that we're going to have on Thursday night before the ZMAX race. So hopefully you can make it here and join us for that night.
I'm really looking forward to that. I missed that last year, but the year before had an amazing time. Got to play some golf with Clay Milliken, and I really thought that being the hillbilly he was, he wouldn't be as good as he was. It made me feel bad about myself.
Well, that's fun. We'll be looking forward to it. I'll make sure and get you the invite over there for you.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate it. It was great to be back on with y'all. It's always a good time to talk to you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Driver of the Capco Construction Top Fuel Dragster, Steve Torrence, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Winner at the Mile High Nationals and headed over to Sonoma trying to sweep the Western Swing. He's the only one in Top Fuel that can do so. When we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of The Straight Line.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer for $29.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is Steve Post.
And I'm Kendra Jacobs.
Join us every Saturday morning at 9:30 Eastern Time for MRN's Wing Nation on MAV TV.
We'll talk with the biggest names in winged sprint car racing, from the world of outlaws to your local winged sprint car track. We cover it all.
Plus, we'll preview each weekend's biggest winged sprint car races from around the country.
MRN's Wing Nation, 9:30 Eastern Time, Saturday mornings on MAV TV.
If you don't get MAV TV, go to getmavtv.com to find your local TV provider and let them know you want MAV TV.
It's The Straight Line,
Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now here's Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Straight Line Wednesday afternoon on MRN.com. Along with Doug Herbert, I'm Marty Huff. And you brought up a really good point with Steve Torrence about, and you were that guy for a long time, being the independent single car team. And trying to buy parts and pieces, things that people really don't maybe understand or see behind the scenes. But I mean, you're getting your parts and pieces from other places, and if you're not buying in bulk, if you're not buying for 3 or 4 teams, if you may not be getting the
well,
top
what we started
notch.
doing is making our own parts, and that I had 2 car with Paul Romine and Jim Bailey, and then I developed a alliance with the Motto and with Joe Motto, even when Darrell Russell was driving the car, and Morgan Lucas was driving a Motto's car. So, I mean, I had a relationship a long time with a Motto, and we kind of traded information and tried to run same parts, and so we could get a little bit of data from each other. But still, at a single-car team, it's tough out there in these days when Schumacher has a whole bunch of cars, and Coletta's got a couple cars, and everybody's kind of working together. So I think it's a disadvantage, but Richard Hogan and the guys that work on Torrance car, they're doing a good job.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, if you look at it, the Sean Langdon car with Alan Johnson. Yeah, it's a single car team. They were a dual car team for a lot of years, and so they had a lot of that. The Morgan Lucas team right now with Richie Crampton, they're running really exceptionally well. That's kind of more of a misnomer than anything else. Right now, they're fifth in points. They've got 3 wins. They're doing really well. But Steve Torrance is a guy who was out there for a lot of years, winning races. Lots of semifinals, racking up lots of points, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fell off the radar for a while. Hopefully this is the thing that kind of gets them back on track, and I wouldn't count them out of a championship if you got 6 races between them and a championship.
Well, if they get on a roll, and one thing, wins do a lot for the team, for bringing the team together, for giving you enthusiasm. After a couple years not being in the winner's circle, you get discouraged. Well, all of a sudden you get the taste of that again, and I got a feeling that Steve's team will pick up a little bit before the end of the year. Hey, something I wanted to bring up, looking at the funny car points, Courtney Force is still not in the top 10. And then right in front of her, Robert Height. So 2 Force cars on the
on the bubble right now,
right at the edge. Yeah, and the cars in front of them, Alexis, Wilkerson, Cruz. I mean, they've there's no slouches right in front of them. So that top 10 in funny car this year is going to be a tough deal.
That is going to be one to watch because there's going to be one car that doesn't make it. Right now, there's 5 drivers, 100 points separating them in 4 slots. So this is musical chairs. And by the time we leave Indianapolis, one of those drivers, Cruz Pedregon, Tim Wilkerson, Alexis DeJoria, Robert Height, Courtney Force, one of them is going to be left standing without a seat.
Well, we were kind of thinking, going into this Western Swing, it's going to separate them. But last weekend, not a whole lot happened. They actually tightened up. So
right.
Something, I really do think that probably over the next couple weeks, there's going to be a couple of them that will solidify themselves in that top 10. But it's still going to be a dogfight going into Indy this year because of those extra bonus points going into Indy, 1.5 points. That's going to make a difference. Indy is kind of returning to a little bit of luster as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Having extra points at Indy makes that race mean more.
No question. Yeah, no question about that. Also, congratulations to Eddie Krawick for winning the bikes this weekend at Bandimere. Harley Davidson returning to the winner's circle and keeping the points lead is Eddie Krawick. That's going to be another really interesting division to watch. Right now, there's 8 drivers within 100 points, and they have one less race because they don't race at Seattle. So they're going to Sonoma this weekend. Their next race will be at the zoo
at Brainerd.
At Brainerd, and
then you got Angel that's not going to run until Indy, and they're planning on just coming back and doing something spectacular at Indy and getting in the countdown, which is boy, that's a tough. I mean, that's a tough deal. But George Bryce has done it before. He knows how to make those bikes run. So I'm interested to see what Bryce and Angel can do coming in too.
Yep, between Jimmy Underdahl, Hector Arana, Matt Smith, Angel, Ellie Tonglet, Jerry Savoy, Scotty Polachek, and Chip Ellis. I mean, they're all grouped right in there. And that's going to be a dogfight, and that's one that we will keep you abreast on here on the Straight Line. Want to thank everybody for joining us on the Straight Line this week. Jack Beckman, the winner of the Funny Car Class. Larry Morgan with a big win in Pro Stock. And, man, the sky's the limit for those guys. And also Steve Torrance, who is the winner in the Top Fuel division. Real quick, anything going on with breaks this weekend?
This weekend we are in Pennsylvania. We're in Manheim, Pennsylvania this weekend. The classes are pretty filled up, but if you're up in that area, we'd love to have you in. Go there and sign up and get on the wait list, and we'll do what we can.
PutOnTheBrakes.org is for more information. So for everybody, for Doug, for Craig, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week right here on the Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tune in next Wednesday at noon for more NHRA talk. The Straight Line is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.